I'm a disgruntled Eagles fan, and we're awesome.
Hey disgruntled, I feel pretty confident that we're going to beat the Houston Texans. I know that they had this 9-game win streak, but most of those teams were average to below average, or not very good teams at all. And I feel that we can beat them because of our performance on the Rams last week. And also, the Houston Texans are not as good as they perceived to be with that 9-game win streak. And I feel like we can beat them and dominate them in a very big way. Now, don't get me wrong. We shouldn't underestimate them at all. They're still a very decent team because it takes a lot to win 9 games in a row in the NFL during whatever team. But I'm just saying that they were beating teams that were average to below average and not any good teams. And once they faced the Colts, they lost, a division rival, but I guess they were due to lose. But what I'm saying is that I feel confident because I feel like Nick Foles is getting to that rhythm that he had in the NFC Championship and Super Bowl. And that's what led to him to being the Super Bowl MVP. There's two sides of Nick Foles. The Super Bowl MVP side and then the first 2 games of this season side. I know that he went 1-1 and was half decent, but he was average there and he wasn't that top tier like he was during the Super Bowl run. But I feel like Nick Foles is entering to that top tier Super Bowl run kind of caliber team because he's clutch in clutch situation, meaning that we need to win out. And I believe that Nick Foles is just going to relight that magic that he had during the playoff run and beat the Texans. And when I say beat the Texans, I mean that the score is going to be 35-21 Eagles. We're going to win by 14 points at least because I feel like we're going to find ways to exploit the Houston Texans defense. The only thing that we need to worry about on the defensive side for the Houston Texans is the Houston Texans defensive line. That is freaking a phenomenal defensive line that Houston Texans have. They have J.J. Watt, Clowney, and a few other defensive linemen that I can't name off the top of my head, but are still dominant as ever. We need to somehow double team J.J. Watt and Javanian Clowney. I think I pronounced that right. But we need to double team at least J.J. Watt and focus on the other side with Clowney. We just need to dominate on our offensive line and dominate their defensive line to have any chance. We just need to give Nick Foles a couple seconds and he can find an open wide receiver. Because during the Rams game, the receivers were finding open pockets and finding wide open catches. And Nick Foles were finding them and throwing it and completing it. That's a big reason why we beat the Rams. I know that it was all to Alshon Jeffrey, but he was the only one that was getting open. Our run game needs to stay strong. We need to run at least 20 times and over 100 yards if you want to find any way to beat this Houston Texans defense and team. We just need to keep running down their throats because once we run the ball, we win games. If we constantly run the ball, we continue to win big games. We ran the ball 30 times against the Rams and beat them. We just need to continue and not let up with the run. Even if we're only getting a couple yards for like 5 straight carries, you still need to run and show that we want to be a run-dominant team. You cannot allow Nick Foles to throw over like 50 passes like Carson Wentz was doing. That's how, 1, Nick Foles could get hurt, and 2, it shows that the Houston Texans defense is going to know what we're going to do constantly and all the time, that we're going to continue to throw. A big way that we're going to win. The receivers need to get open a lot more. It always feels like there's only one receiver or tight end that's getting open. Alshon Jeffrey was always getting open last game in the next Rams, and Zach Ertz is always open. The other receivers need to chip in and find a route where they get open and find a way to get open. I want different receivers, or I want a lot of different receivers to catch the ball during this game. I feel like we're going to have a complete game if we utilize all of the receivers. At least 3 or 4 catches between all of them. Now, I also want Zach Ertz to get that catch record that Jason Witten has at 110. I want Zach Ertz to get 111 catches by the end of the season. I think everyone does. And last thing that we need to do to win this game is that our defensive line needs to get to Deshaun Watson. We need to disrupt him and get him on the ground so he cannot control the game. If we allow him to pass towards our corners, then he's going to dominate. I know that our cornerbacks had an extremely great game. And I don't want to just diminish that at all. And I believe that our cornerbacks are going to make a few key plays during this game in which we will win due to those plays. The only way that we get those cornerback awesome plays is if the defensive line get to Deshaun Watson and disrupt him. If that doesn't happen, then Watson is going to be ripping this defense apart. Our cornerbacks won't handle all of the passes and deep bombs and short passes that they will be doing. If the Houston Texans don't bomb it, or at least pass it constantly, then they're a really bad team. Now, I'm just joking, but that's not the smartest to do against this Eagles defense. The way to beat this Eagles defense is to pass constantly and or shove the ball down our throats. We just need to make the Houston Texans one-dimensional, and I think we're going to win the game. Because I feel like we can contain the Houston Texans offense. And another key part is to hone in on Hopkins. We need to double team him or something, or pay attention to him a lot more. We cannot allow Hopkins to do what Amari Cooper did to us a couple weeks ago. If we allow that to happen, then we're going to instantly lose. And I do not want that to happen. So we need to stop Hopkins, disrupt Watson, and make them one-dimensional. Stop the Houston Texans defensive line, and run heavy. And that's how we're going to win this game. And also, Doug Peterson and Jim Schwartz need to be more creative, not play the same play over and over again. I want to see some creativity and not the same run down the middle and or 2 yards behind the line of scrimmage, pass it, and lose a 5-yard or have a 5-yard loss. I don't want to see that either. And that's all that I have for this video. And thanks for watching.